Welcome to the Midnight Frequency, supported by Aurora Quantum. Tonight, we're talking about something unsettling. Something that has happened to people all over the world, sometimes in the middle of the night, sometimes in broad daylight. And when it happens, you don't even realize it until it's too late. I'm talking about lost time. Moments, hours, sometimes even entire days, just gone. No memory of what happened. No explanation, just a gap in your life where something should be. Let's start with something simple, driving home late at night. You're on a familiar road, headlights illuminating the empty highway. You glance at the clock, 10:42 p.m. And then, the next thing you know, you're pulling into your driveway. It's 11:27. You don't remember the last 45 minutes at all. No turns, no exits, no stops. Just lost time. We tell ourselves it's just autopilot, right? Just zoning out. But what if it's not? People all over the world report lost time. Not just while driving, but in everyday situations. One moment, they're walking home. The next, they're miles away with no memory of how they got there. Sometimes, it's minutes. Sometimes, it's hours. And sometimes, it's much, much longer. Let me tell you about Duncan. In 1991, a 25-year-old man named Duncan woke up on a park bench in a completely different city from where he lived. He had no idea how he got there. The last thing he remembered was going to sleep in his own bed, 9 years earlier. His clothes were outdated, his ID was old, his family had long assumed he was dead, and yet, to him, it was still 1982. He had lost 9 entire years, just like that. No one could explain it. No head injury, no known mental illness, no signs of drugs, just a gap, nearly a decade of missing time. Now, here's where things get even stranger. Lost time is one of the most common experiences reported by people who claim to have encountered something not from this world. In countless UFO abduction cases, people recall seeing a bright light, feeling paralyzed, and then, nothing. The next thing they know, they're back in their car, or standing in their backyard. Or waking up hours later in bed, sometimes with strange marks on their bodies, sometimes with memories that don't make sense. Skeptics call it sleep paralysis, hallucinations, or just the brain trying to fill in gaps. But here's what's weird, many of these people report eerily similar experiences. They describe the same environments, the same beings, the same overwhelming feeling that something happened to them in the time that was stolen. Could it be that when we lose time, something, or someone, is taking it? This isn't just a modern phenomenon. There are stories, old stories, of entire groups of people vanishing for years, only to return unchanged, as if no time had passed at all. The legend of the 7 sleepers of Ephesus. The story of people who entered a cave to escape persecution, fell asleep, and woke up hundreds of years later, completely unaware of what had happened. Of course, most historians write this off as myth. But then you have cases like the village of Aurora Verde in Brazil, where, in 1923, an entire population of over 600 people disappeared overnight. Leaving their homes untouched, food still on the tables, and only a single message written on a chalkboard: there is no salvation. No bodies, no explanations, just lost time, on a scale no one can understand. Alright, let's take a step back. Is there a scientific explanation for lost time? Neurologists say it could be a glitch in memory formation. Stress, fatigue, and trauma can all cause the brain to skip over moments, like editing software cutting a scene from a film. Some scientists even suggest that time itself might not be as stable as we think. There could be micro disruptions in the way we perceive it. Ever heard of time dilation? It's a real phenomenon in physics where time actually slows down under certain conditions, like near massive gravitational forces. Could there be natural anomalies on Earth that cause temporary glitches in our perception of time? Or could something else be interfering with it? So, let me ask you something. Have you ever checked the time, looked away for just a moment, and when you look back, more time had passed than you thought possible? Have you ever felt like you should remember something, but there's just a blank space in your mind? Maybe it's just your brain playing tricks on you. Maybe it's nothing. Or maybe, something took those moments from you. This has been the Midnight Frequency, supported by Aurora Quantum. Until next time, keep track of the time. And if you ever lose a few minutes, ask yourself if they were really yours to begin with.